free, but there are some boundaries that must be observed.
But I don't, because Pastor Babiki and he's saying, because today we were studying the book, the Life of Moses, Exodus, God says, keep the Sabbath holy, don't do anything to worship me. The way he said it, and God doesn't change. And he's telling us one day to rest. And sometimes it's good for us, we do it.
Okay, do you know how that's true? In Exodus chapter 21, the 10 commandments, the fourth commandment says, keep the Sabbath holy, don't do anything. And then the Israelites who went to gather manna on the Sabbath got punished, and God told them, don't gather wood on the Sabbath, don't kindle a fire on the Sabbath. And there are some Jews who would not turn on the switch on the Sabbath because they said, well, God says don't kindle a fire. And they turn on the electric switch, it's like kindling a fire. Well, whatever. In Jerusalem we had Jewish neighbors who used to pay us money. They used to pay me and my brother money to turn on the light for them or turn it off on the Sabbath. They wanted light but would not turn on the switch.
God said it. God said it. When God says they are obedient.
Okay, now, in the New Testament, in Romans, Paul says, some people observe one day, others observe all days alike. And he doesn't seem to make a differentiation. He doesn't say one day is holier than the others. He says all days are alike. Okay? So you can worship the Lord not only on the Sabbath, you can worship the Lord anytime, any day. Okay, then we go to Hebrews. Hebrews chapter 4 mentions some Sabbatarians, mentions some Old Testament patriarchs, some saints of Old Testament period. And it says, those did not enter into my rest. The word Sabbath means rest, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So those people in Old Testament times who kept the 7th-day Sabbath, in Hebrews 4 we're told they did not enter God says they did not enter into my rest. But says there is a rest reserved for the people of God. And this rest, now in the New Testament, the rest is not found in a 24-hour day. The rest is found in Jesus Christ. Come to me, all you who labor, and I'll give you rest. The Sabbath rest can be enjoyed in Jesus Christ. So, I once argued with Seventh-day Adventists. There are some Christians called Seventh-day Adventists. They worship on Saturday, not on Sunday. And they keep Saturday the way the Jews keep it. They will not do any work. And I tell them, Jesus is my Sabbath. I made them mad when I said, Jesus is my Sabbath. The Sabbath rest is not found in a day, it's found in a person. So, but I know how Dr. Rev.George feels and what he believes, and I know that arguing with him would be useless. So I would not do anything to offend him, because I know what he believes, how he feels. But I have my reasons for behaving the way I do. In the New Testament, there's no Sabbath. There's no Sabbath. Jesus is our Sabbath. I mean, there's no Sabbath day. There's no holy day. Paul says all the days are alike.
But it's good for us to have a day, because if you keep it like that, yesterday my husband was saying, oh, let's invite my son for Sunday. I said, not Saturday. Sunday is I don't want to miss my churches. I go to 3 services on a Sunday. I don't want to miss it. Saturday is okay. Sunday, I don't want it, because we have to make with us human beings, if we don't discipline ourselves, make a thing, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we just forget.
Well, Sunday has some significance because Jesus was resurrected on Sunday. God created light on the first day of the week, and light is a symbol of Christ. And then Sunday is called the Lord's Day in Revelation chapter 1 verse 10. John says, I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day. And if you read the context, what he was saying is that he was given a heavenly vision. And the day was the Lord's day.
What's the Lord's day?
Yeah, so
Sunday?
Sunday is called the Lord's day.
Sunday is the Lord's
Yeah, Revelation 1:10. So, but we don't observe it the way the Jews keep Sabbath, their Sabbath.
But when God gave the 10 Commandments, only to one of them he says, remember the Sabbath.
Yeah.
Only one. Why he put such emphasis on Sabbath? Of all the other 9, do this, do that, but when it comes to Sabbath, remember the Sabbath.
Because God wants us at least one day, Sabbath, one is to,
as Raphael said, rest in Him and worship Him. Have more time to worship Him,
Yeah.
to have more relationship with Him.
There was a film, I forgot its name,
yeah,
about a young Christian man, I believe he was from Australia, who did not want to participate in a race on Sunday. Chariots of Fire.
Oh, yes.
I see Chariots of Fire. Okay. Now I admire him for his beliefs. I admire him. He believed in something, he stood for it, and was willing to bear ridicule, persecutions as a result of what he believed. So I respect him for that. But I believe theologically he had no basis. Theologically. Because, well, you have Paul, who was a rabbi and a Pharisee. And when he tells us all days are alike in New Testament times, you see, one thing you have to remember. What's the difference between the Old Testament and the New Testament?
Jesus.
This is under the Old Testament, we are under the law, we are under
We're not
we
under
are
law.
under grace.
The old dispensation had a holy place, the temple.
Yeah.
Only the temple in Jerusalem was sacred. That's why on the 3 important Jewish feasts, Passover, Pentecost, Tabernacles, all the Jews had to be there. It was a requirement, but they be there because why? That God lived in the temple, in the most holy place of the temple. And that's what led some Jews to believe that Jerusalem would never be destroyed. Why? Because the temple was in Jerusalem and God dwelt in the holy place of the temple, so Jerusalem could not be destroyed. When Jeremiah told them Jerusalem would be destroyed if they continued in their disobedience and unbelief, they did not believe in him. They put him in jail. Okay. So the Old Testament, in the Old Testament dispensation, there was one holy place, the temple in Jerusalem. Okay. There was one holy day, the 7th day of the week. And
6th day.
7th day.
Sabbath. You come, Sabbath is the 6th day, not the 7th.
No.
Huh?
No,
That's for them
you read
the
Exodus 20. 6 days you work and the 7th day you rest. And it says God created the world in 6 days. He rested on the 7th and he blessed the 7th day and hallowed it. That's Genesis.
Saturday.
Okay, so there was one holy place, there was one holy day, and there was only one priesthood, Aaronic priesthood or Levitical priesthood. If you did not belong to the tribe of Levi, you could not be a priest. Okay. In New Testament times, we can worship God everywhere. We don't have one holy place. We can worship God everywhere. Wherever God's Spirit is present, that place is holy. It can be here, it can be in the field, it can be on a farm, it can be anywhere. Okay? There is no one holy day. All days are alike. And you don't have to be a Levite to be a priest. All believers are priests. The priest of all believers. See, if you understand the depth of what the Bible teaches, you marvel at the beauty of truth and its cohesiveness and how blends and fits in together, and how it makes sense. See, but I will not offend the brother. You see, if a brother thinks that they should do nothing on Sunday, I will not invite them to go with me to a restaurant. Because it says, woe to him who lets a brother or a sister fall, stumble and fall. So, we're free, we have full liberty, but we should be careful how we exercise our liberty.
But Jesus didn't say on Sunday get together, go to church, go together. He said every day they were getting together and eating bread and they...
Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not important on which day of the week you gather to worship. Now Sunday we worship on Sunday, said, well, it's a memorial of Jesus' resurrection, and it's also convenient. All businesses are don't work on Sunday. So it's a convenient way. But in reality, you can worship the Lord on any day. There is no special sacredness attached to any one day. So I'm not saying this on my own authority. I'm saying this because that's how Paul understood it. The Apostle Paul. We believe he was inspired. We believe he was led by the Holy Spirit. And I don't argue with Paul when he tells me all days are alike. And he says, let no one judge you. He says it in Ephesians and in Galatians, chapters 4. He said, let no one judge you in days, feasts, and foods. Meaning, days, feasts, and what was there? Days, foods, they don't matter. Didn't Jesus say what goes into the mouth does not defile a man? It's what comes out of the heart. So, the Jews had strict dietary laws. You go to Leviticus chapter 11, there's a list of the clean foods and the unclean foods. And they would not touch anything that's in the unclean column, like they would not eat pork. They would not eat rabbits or squirrels.
Or shellfish.
Or shellfish. Yeah.
God told them not to.
Yeah, I met one Jewish rabbi. I was traveling by air from New York to Tel Aviv. The one seated next to me was a rabbi, and he said he would not eat mushroom. Yeah. He said strict, observant Jews don't eat mushroom. I said, why? He said God told Adam and Eve to eat fruits and vegetables that have seeds in them. Mushroom has no seed. It's a fungus.
That's what they say when you have sometimes it's fungus is not good. Some people, some people.
Yeah. And I laughed, and I said, Jesus tells us what goes into the mouth does not define a person. I can eat anything and everything if I want.
But when God says that in the Old, it's not like what Moses is saying. That's why this thing that.
Okay.
And God knows because in the shrimp and the shellfish there is so much cholesterol. In the pork there is worms. If when people eat it, they have worms in their intestine. God knows what He's saying.
You touched the point.
Yeah.
On the return trip from Tel Aviv to New York, I had again, the person sitting next to me was a rabbi, but he was Reformed rabbi. Now, the Jews, they have the Hasidic Jews, which are the ultra-Orthodox, then they have the conservative Jews, and there are the liberal Jews, the atheist Jews, and they have the Reformed Jews.
They have Orthodox Jews.
And they're Orthodox Jews, yeah. The Hasidic Jews are the most Orthodox. So, this fellow was a Reformed Jew. And when food was served, they serve you food 3-4 times because the flight was 11 hours from Tel Aviv to New York. They just keep you busy with food and drink. And this fellow was eating pork. And I said, Rabbi, aren't you supposed not to touch this? He said, yes. I said, I know Moses said don't eat pork. Leviticus 11 lists pork as an unclean. But he said, you know why? Because they didn't have pressure cookers at that time. He said, if you give me raw pork, I will not eat it.
Or barbecue also.
But give me well-cooked pork, I'll eat it because there are no germs in it.
That's
The germs are dead.
in pork you should never eat.
So in other words, he felt that God gave those laws for reasons of hygiene.
Yeah, that's true.
For reasons of hygiene. So now, the Orthodox Jew would never touch pork. The one who was sitting to me on the flight from New York to Tel Aviv, he never touched pork. But the Reform rabbi, he said he would eat pork as long as it was well cooked, because it would have no worms in it.
He's wise. Even we should never eat barbecued pork. Like last week, my son, he did barbecue, he did pork. I was upset with him. I said, you should eat barbecued pork. Because with barbecuing, you cannot kill all the worms in it.
That's true.
That's right, it's good for us.
That's true, for reasons of hygiene. But another example, I was in Jerusalem, and this was when I was still in Iran. I took my vacation. I had a 1 month long vacation, and my wife had never been to the Holy Land. My children had never been to the Holy Land. So I took 1 month long vacation. We're going to Jerusalem. My parents were still alive, so we didn't stay at a hotel. We stayed with my parents. And I took them around, showed them all the holy sites, the historical places, every place associated with Jesus' life and ministry. And one day when we were touring Jerusalem, there's a lot to see in Jerusalem. And after walking for 7 days, my children got hungry and said, let's eat something, we're hungry. I said, okay. And we wanted to continue touring and sightseeing. They noticed a subway. Yeah, I said, oh, there's a subway, it's like America. Oh, we go and eat at the subway. So, okay, we went to that subway. They didn't want to go to a restaurant, sit down, wait for the waiter to come take. We didn't want to lose time. We wanted to eat something and keep going. So at the subway, and my children ordered cheese sandwich. They just wanted cheese sandwich. And this guy, the store owner says, we don't sell cheese sandwiches. We can't. Why? By state law. How? The state of Israel says in stores where meat is sold, dairy products cannot be sold. Now where do they take that? They take it from the Old Testament. Moses told the Jews, don't boil the kid in its mother's milk.
Yeah.
This was a delicacy of the Canaanites. You know, they took a small kid, a few days old, and they boiled it, cooked it in its mother's milk. Now Moses said, don't do that. And
What
they
when you say kid, like what is kid? Kid, a child?
No, a small, no.
Goat?
A small goat.
Goat, small goat. They call a small goat, they call it kid?
Kid, yeah.
Okay, how do you spell it?
K-I-D.
Kid.
No kidding.
No,
Excuse the pun. So, the rabbis interpreted that meat and dairy products should not get mixed. So if you go to an observant Jewish home who follow the kosher laws, they have pots and pans in which only meat is cooked, and they have pots and pans in which non-meat products are cooked. and
Yeah.
they don't mix the two. And the state of